You served prison time for graffiti, correct?
Yeah.
What happened with that? I know it was like in Detroit, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Um, yeah, let's just dive right into it. I was I was pretty much living in New York. I still had my house in Detroit. I had a grow house in Detroit, and I went back there to like cut everything down and get it ready. And I was there for what was supposed to be like a few nights, maybe a week. And the first night I'm there, I go out to a bar with my friend, and this was in like 2017. I had been painting New York pretty often. And when I got back to Detroit, I was like, yeah, let's keep painting. But I also had a lot of drinks. And there was this one spot that I had always wanted to paint. And it was just late enough and dead enough that I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do it. And I had my friend with me. He was looking out. We had walked like right into this undercover prostitution sting. Like where my house was in Detroit, it was near this intersection where there was a lot of prostitutes because it was near this like freight yard, and trucks would go in there and load up, and all the truckers would go to this intersection. Anyways, I like walked right into a sting, and they sat there and they like sat up the block and watched me paint for like the whole fill-in. And as I was like writing the crew out, they swarmed me. My friend didn't see it coming. He didn't warn me. I tried to run, and they had like pulled up on the sidewalk behind me and then tried blocking this sidewalk, and they jump out, and I threw a spray paint can at one of the cops, but he caught it, and then they tackled me. And I had been arrested in Detroit before. I was like, this is going to be another slap on the wrist. I had never been taken in anywhere the times I had been caught writing in Detroit. Like, they would usually just write you a ticket, and then nothing would really come of it. Like when I first got there in 2011, they were like, "Oh, cool. Do you know this writer? Do you know this writer?" Like, Detroit was so bottomed out that it wasn't their priority to like go after people tagging. And these undercovers were like, they started saying shit like, we're gonna come to your house in 2 weeks, and we're gonna serve you felony warrants. Make sure your dog's not there. We're gonna kill your dog. We'll shoot your dog if there's a dog there. They were like, I was like, this is crazy. This is insane.
So it was just regular undercovers. It was Vandal Squad. It
No,
was
it was regular undercovers that were like looking for guys soliciting hookers. And so they had tackled me, and then they like took my wallet. They just took a photo of my ID. They didn't write me a ticket. There was like, I was in handcuffs maybe for like 5 minutes. They didn't put us in a cop car, like nothing. So they got photos of both of our IDs, and then they uh, said all that shit, and then they were like, all right, like have a good night. They gave me my weed back, but took my cigarettes. Anyways, I was like, is this real? Like, is anything they're saying true, or did we just completely get off the hook? And I started asking around, and people were like, no, it's real. Like, while you've been in New York, the new mayor is like cracking down. Like, he was a big DA in LA and is like known for cleaning the streets up in LA at some point, and now he's trying to do that in Detroit. It was this guy Mayor Duggan.
yeah, Mike
Mike,
Mike
yeah,
Duggan.
yeah,
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 I read about him.
yeah. And they were buffing the whole city. Like, it was the end of an era for sure. But I started calling some people, and I was like, have you heard about them, like, cracking down? Like, should I be worried? And they were like, yeah, dude, you should be really worried. People started, like, really talking it up. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. Like I said, I was supposed to go there for like a week. In that week, went to go see a lawyer. I actually asked my friend, I was like, do you know any good lawyers? And he was like, you should hire Shepard Fairey's lawyer. He got Shepard off of like 20 felonies. They threw 20 felonies at Shepard Fairey for wheat pastes. And he got them all dropped. So I was like, I shelled out like $10K for this lawyer, and he was basically like, okay, I'm gonna just keep an eye on it, see if your file comes up. And until then, there's not really much we can do. I was still worried about my dog. I was still worried about them like coming to my house. I like got my laptops out of my house. I got everything out of there.
Your house in
Detroit.
Okay.
Which I had like been living in and growing weed in for like 5 years at that point. And I got my laptop out of there. I was just trying to be there as little as often, and I had my friends watching my dog. But like the dude that was looking after everything for me while I was away in New York was like, I'm out. I can't be here. This is scary. I don't want to be here for this. And it wasn't until I think like November 1st. Months went by before we found out it was actually going to happen. And in that time, like, my apartment in New York got sold. We were like getting kicked out of the space. I had to go back there and get everything. And it kind of just brought me back to Detroit for this like year-long court battle. And we were fighting it. And we had a pretty good argument. And it seemed like I was going to get off the hook. And then they went after my friend that got arrested with me that night. They raided his house unexpectedly at like 2 p.m. They showed up and confiscated his laptop, confiscated like, I think 6 pounds of weed, like a couple ounces of mushrooms, and his laptop, and and a bunch of cash. And they just took all of it. And they like his laptop was about to die. They were like walking out of the door like on the touchpad, keeping it alive. And it just fucked everything up for my whole case. Like
him getting raided fucked everything up for your case.
Yeah. He had pictures on his laptop that would have been incriminating. And they said that they had those pictures, and we just weren't really prepared to like say they didn't. So they were charging me with 3 felonies. It was like felonious assault for throwing the spray can, evading arrest, but it was like some other terminology, and malicious destruction or something. I can't remember, but like the destruction really wasn't malicious. It was this building had just sat there abandoned for years. Like there was just it wasn't like a personal assault on anything. It was just one of a million abandoned buildings in Detroit.
But they painted it out to be like it was some malicious, like, well, that's like...
They just did it for the hell of it. They were just like, fuck it. We're just going to throw the book at you with the most extreme shit.
You're lucky that the throwing the can at the cop's face was just felonious throwing or whatever it was, because they could have just been like assault, and then you would have been fucked way harder.
He caught it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he caught the can. I think if it hit him in the face, it would have been different. He would have been a little bit more like bitter about it. But
I mean, I think the judicial system would have been like bitter about it too. You probably
sure.
would've got like a lot longer time.
yeah. So I don't know how many times I went to court before finally they were like, you can take the 3 felonies or do jail time. And I ended up spending like 28 days in a jail. And then I had like 2 years probation after that.
How were the 28 days?
They were weird. It was weird because I didn't know. They didn't say you're going for 28 days. They said I was going for 60, and my lawyer was like, you'll probably be out in like 3 or 4. You'll probably just do the weekend. Don't worry about it.
So you were in court and they sentenced you to 28?
Yeah, and I went straight from the court to. They didn't sentence me to 20. They sentenced me to like 60, but it ended up being 28. So I still got out earlier than I thought, but also ended up staying later than I thought, based on what my lawyer said.
When you went into the court, did you already have kind of an idea like, I might straight up go to jail for fucking some graffiti today?
I knew I was going to jail. I knew when I went to court that I was going to go to jail. But I wasn't anticipating going that long. So yeah, I got put in this van and with some crazy people, and then I got brought into this. I think it's called Dickerson. It's like in Hamtramck, and there's pods like in the jail, and there's like a receiving pod. So like it's like this 2-floor like catwalk with cells around the top, and then like a big open space in the middle where people would eat or do whatever, and then there was like a little gym off to the side. And I walked in there, and this dude came up to me, this like older guy, and he's like, "Here, like grab this mop, grab this broom." I think he did it because I was like the only other white dude in there at the time. And this guy, his name's Ted Wood. He was crazy. Like, but he ended up getting me this job in the cell. And I ended up spending the entire 28 days in this like high turnover area. So like I was supposed to have been moved to like another cell block, but I ended up staying in like the receiving cell block the whole time and working it. And because I was working it, that's like how I got out earlier. But my jobs were like cleaning up everything once everybody was locked down in their cells. So I was able to like stay out of my cell for like an extra hour sometimes. And it's like you're just walking around with like a spray bottle and a rag, like disinfecting everything. Like I said, this is 2018. Disinfecting now is like way crazier. But yeah, so this guy Ted Wood, like, it turns out he came from California and had just like spent 10 years in a jail in California, in a prison, in like a maximum security prison, and was like a meth addict and was on this like meth bender that he like squatted some house in Malibu, and pretty much just was like found like 10 days later living in this mansion in Malibu, smoking meth every day, all day. And like, I don't know what his previous record was exactly, but somehow that landed him like 10 years in a prison in LA. And his cellmate was, I always forget this guy's name. He was the one that carried out the Manson murders. Tex something. And he would always talk about texts and like he was like showing me these tricks all the time. Like we would like pass notes at night from our cells by taking like a thread from our sheet and then tying it to like a little like soap bar and then like kind of like sliding it out and around because his cell was like right next to mine and the cells weren't open. Like the cells all had doors that would like lock. So I there were times where I would just lock myself in my room because like I said, it was like such a high turnover rate that there was always new people coming in while the people that were stuck there were starting to develop certain power structures. And then somebody bigger and badder would come in and challenge it, and it would just be like every day it was just like I just have to get through this day.